Hey everybody, I'm Matt Hill. I'm here at the Trace Management Podcast Studio in Oklahoma City, and fortunate enough for me, I have amazing friends that I can't wait to either talk to for the first time or find out what they've been up to. But thanks to the Oilfield Tailgate, we've continued to put these podcasts together to do as best we can for energy education, energy literacy. Just promote oil and gas as the most reliable and affordable and abundant energy source available today. And anyway, let's go around the room. Introduce yourself.
I'm Molly Turko. I'm a structural geologist in the oil and gas industry. I'm currently full-time with Devon Energy, but more excitingly, I'm the co-chair of the upcoming AAPG Mid-Continent Sectional. That's the American Association of Petroleum Geoscientists. And we have our Mid-Con meeting here in October. It's going to be a great event. We can talk more about that soon.
I've been to it. It's really, fascinating, all the things that geology has to offer.
Yeah, great event.
You have, where's the event going to be at?
It's going to be at the Oklahoma City Convention Center October 6th through 10th. So we're starting out Friday night with a historic field trip and a shrimp boil. Then we have a field trip and short courses on the weekend, an icebreaker Sunday night. And then Monday and Tuesday are going to be technical sessions. We actually have Alex Epstein as our luncheon speaker on Monday.
I'll be there.
And Harold Ham on Tuesday.
Introduce yourself, and we're going to circle back to all that.
I'm James Van Alstine. I'm currently independent geophysical consultant with my company, Van Alstine Geosciences, I'm very blessed. It's been keeping me very busy, which has been good. And I think the last AAPG is where I first met you.
Yeah,
that's where I thought it was. So
the reason I started this, podcast, besides obviously the energy education and doing more for the Oilfield Tailgate, was I was kind of siloed. I was in one part of oil and gas, and I really had that desire to go out and find all the other pieces and see what you do, because the more onion layers we peel back and interact and network, the more we can help each other, and I think that's the key to networking. Is it's not about what I can do for somebody else, necessarily. It's like, let's go out and learn from each other and network and help each other.
Yeah, well, it's all connected. It's all integrated.
Yeah, no one's, a drilling guy's not going to just go out there and pop a hole in the ground and find the oil and gas. He needs you a lot. What are, so you're working for Devon. I was just at the Energy Workforce Technology Council today.
Yeah.
Heard a great guy from Devon come in and talk about all the exciting things going on over there. But what are you guys doing in geology? You guys have been seeing, you guys have all these new assets. Get to go explore those.
Yeah, they've acquired several, I don't want to say new assets, but maybe adding on to areas they've already had. So we're really active in the Delaware Basin. That's an area where I've been working a lot of structural geology, so fun area. They've also got some great Eagle Ford, Powder River basins, and then, of course, I'm partial to the Mid-Con, so good people there.
Great rock every basin.
That's right.
And obviously you guys go out and find a lot of oil, but Devon's very long and bold on natural gas in the future as well.
Yeah.
All of your plays, stack up to be able to provide any of that for anybody.
That's true.
Yeah, I love it. So I want to circle back to the event coming up, before we lose anybody from me talking, but, they have speakers.
We do, yep.
And Alex is going to be there. He saw me once sit out in the lobby and wait for him for about an hour till he was done, because I fanboyed out. Like, I don't fanboy out very often, but Alex I wanted to meet and got to put him on camera for just a second. So that'll be exciting. If you haven't ever heard Alex speak, that's somebody that you really, if you're in oil and gas, you should go support him, because he's not in oil and gas, but he supports us. Have you heard him?
He does. He's a great champion for the oil and gas industry, and he's got some great books. He will be doing a book signing, too. So bring your books. He'll sign them for you. We feel
Probably his books, right?
Yeah, his books. That's true.
The moral case for fossil fuels, right, and then fossil future.
Fossil future, yep.
I know I follow him maybe too much. He's
a very impactful speaker.
Yeah.
It's amazing what he's done, especially up at the government and whatnot, being able to kind of speak coherently and cogent thoughts and really get those thoughts across in a very concise way. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I wish the rest of the world took a little bit more notice of us, right? And like, hey, you can invite us to Congress, but oh well. He's outside of oil and gas. It makes more sense to follow him.
Yeah.
So what are you doing right now? You just hinted on it.
Well, like my biggest work is the consulting work. So I'm do mostly geophysical consulting for a handful of clients in Delaware basins, like one of the ones I'm working pretty heavily in, Anadarko Basin, Fort Worth Basin, a couple other projects. I've been able to stay very, very busy on my own, which has been great. Very grateful for all my clients I've been able to work with. Got a little bit of independent prospecting going on myself, and as we've talked before, a little bit of acting here and there, which has been kind of fun. My little side hobby, which has been fun.
What have you been in recently?
The biggest thing most recently is Tulsa King. I'm in the last scene.
Brian Hooper, I know he was in it too for a second.
Another former chess speaker who I worked with, DG Barnett, she's in there too, and it's a fun little hobby.
Are you in acting at all?
I acted in high school, and that was it. I wasn't that great.
Well, I act out every day, and no one's paid me for it, so you're doing better than I am.
It's been a fun little hobby. Well, I shouldn't say hobby, a little kind of side career. So
yeah, I mean, if oil and gas fails, I mean, you could be in worse things.
Yeah, and Oklahoma, it's growing. The industry is really picking up steam here, which has been great to see.
Yeah, well, we have the resources. I'm assuming with Devon Tower downtown, pumping out all the great people down there. We have extras everywhere.
There's a lot of interest, and a lot of people are just kind of joining in. And it's been great to see.
I don't know why they haven't shot a movie inside Devon Tower yet. Is that cool, Clay? Can we do that?
I can ask the higher ups.
That seems like a yes.
I don't know. I mean, when they do these filming, they block off so much. I don't know if Devon would want that kind of constraints on where people can walk around and do stuff. So
as long as it's not the coffee shop and the food court.
Fair enough.
Right.
Is that, am I pronouncing that right?
Nebu,
yeah. It's a good place to go. I tell everybody, why don't go to chain restaurants. Go to local places like that. And
the cooks are pretty amazing.
And I'll tell everybody my secret as a salesman. Everybody in that building, if you need to see them, don't worry about getting an appointment. About 2:00, you be down there and you have your tab open for all your customers and you get them coffee because they'll be coming downstairs the afternoon, that lull where all the people upstairs are a little bit tired. They're going downstairs to get a coffee.
Yes.
Be there.
Yes.
I'm giving away a secret right now. You guys should pay attention. Also, Chesapeake and Continental Resources also have coffee shops in them, so you know where to find me.
Have to take advantage of those.
So what fascinated you? How did you get into oil and gas originally? What got you into school? What in school said, hey, this is my career path?
So both my grandpa and my dad grew up in the oil patch. I don't think either of them had a degree in anything specific. They just always worked on rig hands. My dad was a foreman on a rig and actually moved us to Dubai when I was a kid.
What?
Yeah. So that's kind of my connection to the oil and gas industry. And then after high school, I went to community college and dabbled around, failed a bunch of stuff, and then had one semester where I had 4 earth science classes and did great. One of them was a geology course, and my professor was a petroleum geologist. So I asked him, I was like, I really like geology. What can I do with this? And he was like, you can do this or this. But of course, with him being a petroleum geologist, that's kind of the track he thought I should do, being in Oklahoma. I was at University of Tulsa, graduated there in 2011 and moved to Oklahoma City, got a job with Chesapeake Energy. That's where I met James. He's actually a really good structural geologist, geophysicist.
Thank you very much.
So we worked a lot together being a structural geologist and a geophysicist. He does great work.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think I was there 9 years. I think you were a little longer than me.
Yeah, I got there a couple more, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I just had reached about 15.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
It was one of the old school ones.
Yeah.
I love it, man. We have just so many people in oil and gas in Oklahoma City. I mean, that's our foundation anyway.
Yeah.
And then everybody's just fascinated. All the stuff they've gone out, and so much stuff leads back. My wife included, lead back to Chesapeake. Yeah. All the expats from Chesapeake now, I can go out and find around the country.
We're everywhere.
Yeah, you're everywhere.
Yeah.
And I can I count on them to connect all the dots to people I need to go see. Thank you for being there.
Well, I remember when I first started Chesapeake, it was '06, and that was, the construction cranes were everywhere. It was, you could not turn without seeing a construction crane building something. And I remember when I first started, I think I was like right around employee 6,000. It was like right in that mark. And then it was like those were the days that you basically got to campus as early as you could to get a parking space, because there were not parking garages at that time. You did not want to leave because you would never find a space again without having to like hike a ways. So that was those good times.
The flying cars were so close to
We were close. We were close. It was getting there.
It was a whole city.
It was such an amazing experience working for them at that time. So
yeah.
I mean, all the way through. I mean,
at least now they're open back up to like I can kind of walk the halls and be a decent donut salesman again. I can go in there and come to find out not everybody loves donuts, so maybe bring some bagels too.
Bagels are good. Yeah,
a little breakfast burrito action.
Yeah.
Don't leave out the geology side of things. It can't always be the engineers that get it. You guys are the last to know there was food in the building.
Yeah, but we also had a lot of people coming in for like the wireline log side, and we got our fair share of donuts and whatnot.
Okay, that's fair.
We might not say it because we want more donuts, but
So, what's the future of oil and gas? Geophysicists, geophysics, geology. What do you think is really going to bring people in? Is it all the new technology you can use to go out and find the newest reservoirs coming up? I mean, what are you guys like looking forward to over the next 5-10 years?
Bit of both. I mean, it's the new technology. It's amazing what they can do nowadays. Acquisition, seismic, it's just improving leaps and bounds. I mean, from the original seismic data I've worked at Chesapeake, the old stuff to what you can see when it's been reshot, it's just night and day differences. So it's going to be kind of going back, seeing if there's missed opportunities with new shoots, or if you're kind of going into more like the carbon capture technology, it's going to be like reshooting seismic, like with 4D, to kind of see if there's been changes as you do an injection, and you name it. There's always going to be a need for us out there.
Yeah, I have a friend, and he once said, who's going to solve climate change? It's going to be the oil and gas industry. We have the people, we have their brilliant minds, we have the technology, we know how to drill wells tens of thousands of feet deep, whether we're trying to get hydrocarbons or lithium-enriched fluids, or we're trying to pump something in, whether it's cold water and we're trying to pump hot water back for enhanced geothermal, or pump carbon into there. We have, decades and decades, if not, I don't know, hundreds of years of experience of like finding resources and getting the resources and all of that. I think there's a lot of opportunity.
Especially with the way the transition is going to go, it's going to take much longer than everyone, it's optimistically thinking about. So we're going to be needed for a much longer time frame and, support along the way.
We've never, as a human race, ever replaced a source of energy except for one time. We replaced whale oil with oil. That's it.
Yeah.
And all we've ever done as a human race to replace something is to find a better energy source. So, sorry, but batteries and solar and wind are not a better, it doesn't give us a better energy source. No. So that would be, the next thing would be nuclear and it'd be fission. Hey, by all means, that we had a speaker at the API the other day. He had went to a lab, and they had done their very first time they'd ever turned a hydrogen basically atom into giving us more energy out than it took to go in. You might have been there.
I wasn't there, but I've heard talks like that. So,
and it was just with a bunch of lasers, heating this, particle up, and then now they've been able to replicate it. Now they've been able to replicate it faster. So, hey, if they get the RPMs up and we have a little engine out of this thing, sure. But we're 100 years from that technology.
Oh yeah, and I think I am not as smart on that technology as I am on the oil and gas side. So quote me if I'm wrong, but I think they also require for the fusion like really rare earth minerals. I mean, it's rare beyond belief. So it's kind of like another kind of stumbling block unless they can maybe start to replicate that somehow. And
here you are. You're going with seismic and finding barely disturbing the earth.
Yeah.
And then we're putting a straw in the ground.
Yeah.
That's about as minimal as we can hope for as a race to go and disrupt the earth to harvest a resource that's very energy dense.
Yeah,
that's true.
So thank you for what you do. If no one else out there is appreciating you. So whenever you went to Devon and I promote women coming into oil and gas a lot, because we need now more than ever people coming into our industry. as especially young people and diversity of thought. So young women in oil and gas, you've probably been on the front lines of going out and recruiting people at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
What can we do, as all of us to get more people involved, and especially young women?
Oh, I mean, some of our outreach programs might include going, to elementary schools or high schools and they talk about STEM or STEAM, teaching, engineering, and all of that fun stuff. I think it helps too to kind of have like women mentors.
Yep.
Because if there are ever situations that become tricky or sticky, you can reach out to someone else who's been in the industry. I really have a lot of respect for kind of the older generation of women geoscientists who have, who were in the industry in like the 50s, the 60s. I've heard stories from then, and it just kind of blows my mind. And I'm sure that still happens today. The companies I've worked for, I've always felt respected.
Yeah.
And I hope that's a generation thing that kind of starts to get better and better. But I've always felt respected at Devon and Chesapeake. I've never had any issues, and not that those issues aren't out there, but I have hope. I have hope that it's
you are a
go-to
person for structure at Chesapeake.
Yeah.
So you can reliably say to the next generation, hey, I know that the oil and gas industry may have this stigma about them from the past, possibly, that women may not have been treated as fairly as they should have, but nowadays that's gone.
Yeah.
And we're begging you to come on board, because we all know, and hopefully the next generation does too, the more technologically advanced that we get, and we get rid of, people's swinging hammers, per se, the more people we actually will need. You get rid of one guy that's more of a labor-intensive guy, and you add AI to it, and technical, efficiencies. That's probably 5 more people that you need to replace that one guy, because you need techs, you need scientists, you need engineers. Everything that you're doing, you're like, oh crap, I need more people to look at this data and go out and get it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What's some of the tools you use that you see maybe moving toward more AI kind of stuff, that you could see them hey, all this data that we used to crunch, you have anything like that? I hear about AI everywhere, so I'm always asking
machine learning for one. I mean, that's a big one. Just kind of starting really compiling all the well information, even seismic interpretation stuff. You can let the computer do quite a bit, but there's so much, especially in the geosciences, there's so much of the imagination that goes into it, and so much of the creativity of thought, that I find it hard to let a computer really kind of come up with that. I mean, it can do a good job, just even in the technology now, of putting together auto-tracked horizons, auto-tracked faults, well top picking across, using some guidance from humans, but it's really the human interaction on top of that to kind of really see the creativity. Oh yeah, I can see all this data points, but to take that kind of that creative spark to say there's something that we can chase that the computer just will not be able to replicate, as far as I can tell. There's probably going to be somebody out there that can prove me wrong, and let the computer work.
AI will prove you wrong. It's already listening.
Yeah. Yep. ChatGPT, it's there. It already has a response for me.
It's going to hear this podcast and be against us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another thing that I hear, from the other side that may not appreciate oil and gas is that all the good rock, and right. That's, I know. Thank you for shaking your head. I lose my mind when I hear that stuff. All the good rock, we haven't even scratched. I don't feel like we've even scratched the surface of the reservoirs that are out there. We're just now learning how to find them.
Well, it wasn't too long ago that shale was not. Shale was, of course, the generator, but it wasn't considered the good rock to drill into to produce. So it's technology is always going to advance and change and kind of find the next best thing.
Yeah, you can bet on technology.
Oh yeah.
Look at so Novo. Any other operator, I don't consider them necessarily your competitors, right? But Novo's kind of in that same sandbox over there in that New Mexico area.
Yeah.
And they just found this little bitty area that's just such a niche, right?
Yeah.
And a couple little humps in the geology pulled all of these oil and gas assets right there, where they went out and just put a straw in the ground, boom, oh my gosh.
Well, it wasn't just a straw in the ground. They did a whole lot of geological work, because I know both Brian Dabrowski there and Matt Hale. They did phenomenal work. Cool. And there's other geoscientists, I just the names at this point, but there's been a whole bunch. Those are two of my good friends, and I know the work that they did. It's phenomenal what they were able to pull together with that.
They did the legwork, and their theories turned out right.
Oh yeah.
And sure enough, those layers that they found were like very rich.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I see you guys doing all the time, and we haven't done that to every square inch of the earth.
No, we haven't.
Or up and down all the way, and who knows? And hey, by all means, I hate plugging wells. I hate it because I think that every single well bore we've ever drilled has a potential to go out and do something else with it.
Yeah.
And hey, I know we'll have to drill it back out. We'll have to case it again, but it's already there.
Yeah.
And like I know we don't have production out of it anymore, but I still like, oh man, what else can you find down there?
Well, it's also just amazing how the technology that we apply in oil and gas can be shifted and reapplied elsewhere. Like Molly had mentioned earlier about lithium brines. Good friends of ours that we worked with at the Chesapeake days, they've gone now and they founded a company that's looking at, I don't know if repurposing, but drilling basically into saltwater deposits and actually producing the saltwater deposits for the lithium. So it's incredible.
We have a lot of saltwater wells that we've drilled here.
Particular areas that you have to find it. But just, like I might not be capturing it quite right, but there's abilities out there for taking what is oil and gas technology and applying it to completely different problems and, having great success with it. So
yeah, I saw a long run of the northern Oklahoma area being drilled out for water.
Yep, we had quite a bit of water.
So much water. We shouldn't be laughing, but hey, we did it so no one else would have to.
There you go.
Now they're ready. It's teed up.
Yeah,
we've got a lot of data out of it, right?
Oh yeah.
Do you? So Devon, they are very. They return money on their investment now. All of the shale plays where people just dump money into oil and gas and get no returns out of it. Those days are over. Now everybody's very fiscally, looking at every single, possible dollar that goes out. How do I return this money plus to their investors? So is that really strapped you guys down on how, you want to go forward with going out to explore new areas, or you just have so much acreage right now you can be like, hey, look, this is, no problem. We got plenty of things to do right here.
Yeah, man, I feel like that's a big question.
Yes, that's what I do here, big questions.
Oh, man. I kind of feel like they have a good mix of both. I'm in the subsurface technology group. I'm not in a business unit, so I don't always have like intel to exactly what they're looking at. But I do know the business units, they're very smart people. They're always looking at different intervals to drill, at different well spacings, how to stagger their wells. And like the Delaware, there's just so many things to drill. Yeah. And it feels like it could never end out there. But they're always open to like exploration and looking at new things, whether it's kind of like just new energy ventures or maybe new oil and gas plays. And they even have people that look at like acquisition and divestment opportunities. I'm not always privy to that information, but from the subsurface group, people come to me with structure questions, and I feel very positive about the company. Like I think they're in a really good footprint.
Yeah, I mean they're the best. I think they're the top investment on S&P 500 right now.
Yeah.
Good place to be.
As an employee, you get stock, and so when I first received my Devon stock, I was really excited about that.
You should be. It's always going to grow.
Yeah. I should probably go buy more, actually.
My hopes and dreams are that the Oklahoma, based companies buy everyone.
Yeah.
Lets us buy everyone else.
Yeah.
I think that we're the best at it. Have you ever got to discover like, hey, I just went and did all this, and I just found oil and gas?
Yeah, got a few of them. Got a few on my own, a few independent prospects I was able to develop, and it's kind of the wildcatters. You have a couple hits that are good, a couple that are not so good, but it's kind of
drilled a dry well before too.
I've done dry wells before, yes, but it's. I love, for me, getting into oil and gas was always the exploration. It's kind of like feeling like Indiana Jones and, just going out and trying it and see what happens and roll the dice. And sometimes it plays for you and sometimes it doesn't. And
did you have skin in the game on the ones?
I did have skin in the game, so I definitely felt it when it didn't.
Yeah.
So I definitely have another appreciation for that side of the business for taking those chances.
I'm ready to put a little skin in the game. So talk to me, after this. I'm like, let's go out and find.
I don't know if you want some of the ideas that I've had.
I like those ideas. My wife's used to me gambling. It's fine.
I think I'm like one.
I gambled on this whiskey today, the Oklahoma whiskey. Pretty tasty, right?
Pretty good, yeah. Pretty smooth.
Yeah, we always promote the Oklahoma oil and gas whiskeys I don't know if it's oil and gas. I just assume that if they have a distillery here, they're probably in it. But the Heist by Red Fork,
Nice.
right here in Oklahoma. There we go.
Cool.
Thank you guys. You're welcome to send me whiskey for that plug. You probably don't listen to this, but it's fine. All right. So what else can we do today to make sure that your message is out there? What else can we talk about? I love this stuff. I never
Best way to
want
get our message out is to have everybody come to the AAPG mid-sectional in October.
Yeah, if you're in drilling, completion, production, like don't forget the geology side.
One happy family.
Yeah, it's fun for engineers because, I mean, they don't get to see that stuff at conventions. And I went to the SPE, the Oil and Gas Symposium.
I know. We had I'm on the board. We had a great time. Lots of great speakers. Obviously, all the sponsors you got to promote.
Yeah,
Say thank you to them. Booths. Do you guys have booths there? This one, of course.
Not.
You do.
We're still getting exhibitors.
Yeah,
so if you would like to be a sponsor or an exhibitor, you can visit our website www.aapgmcs2023.org.
I'll throw that up there on the above us, maybe.
And we also have a LinkedIn page, so follow that. We love our followers. That's me behind the computer, so I love you.
I'm helping with it too.
Yeah.
Man, LinkedIn for oil and gas. I wish we could go out and buy LinkedIn as an industry because I'm always afraid that LinkedIn will just be like, oh, we don't like oil and gas today, and we're all doomed. Like, I won't be able to get a hold of you anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Today we set up this podcast because we met each other online, sort of.
At this last year event, so
I mean, oh man, we all have been very fortunate to have such a friendly platform for our industry.
Oh yeah,
we wouldn't have done this with Facebook.
Oh no, that's where so many of my connections are through.
Maybe Twitter now that Elon's got it. We'll see.
Yeah. But I still find LinkedIn's a little bit easier to navigate, and just for the information that's put out there, just the connections.
I am curious, and if they're listening, but the Digital Wildcatter guys, they're starting it, and I think the very first person who wanted to start an oil and gas Facebook was still Mark and Madison from Now Social Octane. Back then, it was called Oil Connect. Yeah. And I got the app. It was going well. And then they made like Petragonia hats and North Frac hats.
I do remember that one.
And apparently they got sued and they couldn't, sustain that business anymore because, when you get sued, you got to shut everything down. Yeah. So we didn't have Oilfield Facebook anymore. No. I know, it's not fair. But we still don't have Oilfield Facebook, so LinkedIn's our platform until maybe somebody gets us all and takes us over to our own platform that no one else shut us down for what we believe in. Yeah,
I saw the Digital Wildcatters guys testing like a new platform, at least for communication platform, and haven't had a chance to play with it yet. But
I'm sure like Chuck and the rest of the team are probably just goofing off too much. They're not putting in the work.
They seem like they stay pretty busy. No, everything I've seen.
They're not putting in the work like I do.
Fair enough. At least from what I've seen on the LinkedIn post, they're staying pretty busy.
I know. Colin, here's to you. Hey, my first class, I told him not too long ago I saw him, and he hadn't drank in like a year or something. I was like, well, on my podcast, I'm partaking, so cheers. Thank you all for coming in. Appreciate it. All right, so before I kick you guys out of here and we all get on to our lives, how do people get a hold of you? And then plug that again and again and again.
So I'm Molly Turko, Turko. You can find me on LinkedIn. My email is turkotectonics@gmail.com.
It's a great email.
I know, right?
You scored with that one.
I even have turkotectonics.com. Fun little website.
Why don't you just take over this podcast? You're going to do like just do a geology podcast, oil and gas, petroleum geologist podcast like once a month or something.
That's a technical skill that I don't know that I have.
You have it. I'm fine.
I'll be the keep going on LinkedIn.
Listen, if I don't have to be on this camera and annoy the crap out of everybody, I will come in and be the producer, and you just bring your friends in here, and you actually just come in here. You drink the whiskey. You ask the questions. That's better.
I can do that.
All right. This is a contract because it's online.
Okay.
You see how I do this? Like,
I see.
Like I don't have to be on my face anymore. My voice. I can just bring in people that know more than me and let them do it, and I'll just press buttons.
Fair enough.
And Bob, I know y'all are looking at this. He did. He's like, "Where's your podcast studio?"
Yeah, I was kind of like wondering. I've seen your podcast before, like with all the cool memorabilia.
Why are you not getting the good stuff?
Yeah, I was like, so see how he really feels about oil, the geosciences.
So Trace Management, and I love Jason and Luke, but they've got me up here in the new studio eventually, but they had to move everything over to the other side of the building. All my stuff was unplugged. So we all set this up, and lo and behold, I show up. I'm like, I'm going to plug stuff back in real quick, and here we go.
Yep, got it to work.
Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, we'll find out.
I don't even know if this has sound right now.
We'll find out. It's like an hour of just quiet.
Oops.
But
times.
we can dub it over later.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're in the
Do a different
industry,
person's
yeah.
voice. We'll just make it sound a little different.
Yeah. Hey, if we're leaving and then you have to dub these over, you're in acting.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's actually a story for you, real quick. So
Yeah,
one of
what
my
stories?
roles.
Yeah,
One of my
forget it.
roles.
Now
is-
this is going off the rails.
Oh,
now.
God.
Here we go.
Well, one of my roles was
Now
for a
I'm fine.
TV show. So I was a lead on a TV show for a role that Mike Rowe had been putting together. So it's this one, have 7 pages of dialogue, all this text. It's going to be great. You never hear my voice because I had to match Mike Rowe's cadence and speech 100%. So it's dubbed over. So you hear him talking. My mouth is moving, but it's his words coming out. So he does all the voice for everything. So it was actually a story about Bonnie and Clyde. It's like all these little historical snippets. It was an amazing group. So it was like me, 4 others, and so it's myself and this other lead actress, and her voice is the same thing. It's Mike Rowe's voice coming out of this lady's voice. It's just hilarious. But it was just so much. I had to time everything perfectly, but you never hear me speak. It was fun, though.
I know how bad you feel. So I had to do a training video for our fire suppression systems the other day, and I had to voice over some of the text that goes with the safety part of it. It was awful. Wait till I'm telling you, like, you will love this studio and you'll hate it because you will have to listen to your own voice. Or you can come in, get your friends in here, and you press a button and you hand it to me, and I will have to edit it. I think you'll prefer the latter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting Oil and Gas. Thank you for my friends. One more time, around the room, what's your name?
Molly Turko.
James Van Alstine.
You know me, Matt Hill. Thank you for being in Oil and Gas. Please go out and do some energy education, support them, their mission, sign up. What's the website one more time?
www.aapgmcs2023.org.
Our friend behind the computer and the event. And you, thank you for setting this up.
Anytime.
And, you both are welcome here anytime to be the host, the co-host, whatever you want. Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right. Take care. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.